This is the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin'.
He's throwing it towards Thornton, left corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown New England!
The Patriots Pregame Show is your source for all the news and information before every game.
He took it to the house! Again!
Here we
and
go!
The Patriots take the lead!
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin'.
What's up, everybody? Third and final preseason game of the 2025 season. We've got Evan, we've got Deuce, I'm Claudia. Paul will be with us in just a second. And this is an exciting day, okay? Some people might want to downplay it. Nobody's going to be playing. It's the third and final preseason. I don't want to hear it, okay? Because both the Giants and the Pats are undefeated, you two.
That's right.
All right, we're going to see Jackson Dart out there for maybe a full first half. This is exciting.
I am excited, and not just because this will mean that we're moving on to the regular season, but I think there's still questions.
I'm excited for it to be over.
Like that. Very excited.
No, there are still questions, though, and I think this is a team that Mike Vrabel came in. We talked a lot about it this week. They were able to build a lot of the top line, but there's not a lot of depth right now, and I think they have to identify who their depth guys are, and especially, I mean, the three positions I'm going to look at, offensive line, edge, and defensive back. I think there are, not just roster spots to be won, but some roles, and especially if injuries were to strike at some point, I look along that offensive line, especially at a guy like Marcus Bryant at right tackle, who could be playing significant snaps this year. So definitely some questions still to be answered tonight for me.
Yeah, offensive line, there's really two open competitions still ongoing at center and left guard. You don't know where those are going to settle. I don't know how much Bradbury, Jared Wilson, and Brent Brown are going to play tonight, but we'll see. I still think that those things are unsettled, and like Deuce said, there's depth really across the roster, but one of the guys I wanted to just highlight right off the top is Kyle Duggar.
Yep.
I think he's going to play a lot tonight, which is telling in a lot of ways, but also just what is it that they want him to work on? What is it that they want him to prove to make this team? Because Deuce and I have done our little 53-man roster projection fun and played with the roster in that respect, and it's hard to imagine that Kyle Duggar is not one of the 53 best players currently on the Patriots roster. So I know that it's more than that. There's complications with his contract and things like that, but it would be pretty surprising to see Kyle Duggar not make this team, but that might be the reality.
And Tuesday, 4 p.m. is when they have to lock in those 53-man rosters. And that's why I joke about it, but it is true. A game like this is important because maybe you don't make the Patriots 53, but every other team's going to be looking around. They need depth at certain positions that maybe the Patriots have an abundance of. So that's important for these guys, too. That's a layer of motivation.
That might be even part of it. What's interesting about it is the games that are not happening around, the ones that are happening around the league and potential places where the Patriots could look to improve or maybe add some depth. You never know where somebody might shake loose. I mean, you talk about Kyle Duggar, Anthony Jennings, another player who might play tonight. Keon White is
What
a
a big
player
game last time,
Keon White's a guy that I think a lot of people might see tonight playing a significant amount of snaps. Started the year off really part of the defense, and lately it seems like, I think, Ev, you were in with Mike Smith, the outside linebackers coach, saying he's got to find a home right now. And really interesting statement.
Which is going back to the draft is sort of the concerns that we might have had about him was, he's sort of this tweener of defensive end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, which in one respect it can be you're a jack of all trades, which is a good thing, but if you don't have a permanent home, it's also can be unsettling too for Keon White. We've seen Chazon take a lot more starter reps this past week or so at that opposite spot of Harold Landry, and Keon White's been running a little bit more with the twos. It's a good kind of sneaky one here at the end.
It's like just the theme for me tonight is a little bit of, I don't want to call it the last stand, but it's kind of the last stand of a lot of Belichick draft picks. And guys along the offensive line, Kyle Duggar, Anthony Jennings, Keon White, some guys that have been holdovers for the last 2 years. Are they going to have a role on this team going forward? Do they fit what they're trying to do here tonight? We'll find out.
Bittersweet. That chapter coming to an end. Hey, Paul. What's
Hey,
going
Paul.
on?
The return
We're
to
just
the
talking
king.
about how amped we are.
Everyone.
You amped about third and final preseason game?
Oh, they set me up, huh?
Oh, no, I'm just, I'm excited.
Yes.
Look at how excited
Third
he is.
preseason game, yes. Have we done keys?
We haven't yet.
we
No,
haven't
we're
yet.
just we're talking overall, from a broad range.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul's
regular
thrilled.
season's 10 days away. We're ready.
Paul is thrilled. Let's get to the keys of the game. All right.
The whole team's in the locker room right now, just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are this week's keys to the game.
Are we going? I didn't realize we had an intro.
Yeah, we have an
song.
intro.
That was
We have a
my
whole
bad.
intro to that one.
Do
It's
we
pretty-
go over
it's
the
pretty sweet.
music? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's my second show.
I mean, as you heard, the team is waiting to hear this so they can
they
play
are.
the game. So we better hurry.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
really-
Listen, if
I
you're
really
in the
expected
locker
you to be
room,
up to speed by now. I mean, I'm a little disappointed.
dang.
I mean, you're yelling at me about my lack of enthusiasm, but you know,
I
you
didn't
really
yell
should
at you. I said, "Aren't you excited?" Is all I said. Jeez.
Comes back a week off and is just right on
Yeah.
the top rope over there.
Man, jeez. My key to the game is to put a bow on it. And we sort of all just talked about that at the beginning here at the opening. Just finish clean. We already have some injuries, which we'll talk about. Of course, Jalen Polk out for the season, which we'll get to. Leigh Larison already out for the season. So end this game with no injuries. That would be ideal. Finish drives, right? I want to see the receiver room. They're still battling, although Polk is out there. We talked about the interior with the line. Make sure that looks good. And they're facing, I don't know how many starters are going to be out there from the defensive front for the Giants, but that's a tough defense. So I'd love to see them hold up against that and limit the penalties like they've been doing and just finish cleanly, finish polished, right? We've had a great 2-0 start so far. It's preseason.
That's right.
2-0 start, though,
Undefeated,
still
baby.
no losses. So just finish clean, finish strong, Deuce.
I like it. I mean, that's, let's not get any injuries. Don't get guys hurt.
Yeah.
But there is stuff, still interesting things to happen tonight. I look at, my key is, what did I do? No, I'll make the case.
Make
And
the
that's
case.
just, I think one of this game, it's always fun to see a guy just take advantage of this moment. And, does he ultimately end up being a contributing member of the Patriots on game? Maybe not, but it's fun to see guys go out, and I know Paul talked a little bit about it, maybe their last chance in an NFL game, and just go out and have some fun and make some plays, and you never know who that might be. So maybe it's a guy, we were talking a little bit about a random, like Jordan Polk, somebody,
Yeah.
one of these guys who maybe you've seen a little bit of. He made a game-saving play last week on that kickoff return. So maybe it's somebody like that. I don't know. That's what I want to see. Just somebody step up, make the case, and maybe make things interesting, make some decisions harder on this coaching staff when it comes down on Tuesday.
Does anybody come to mind for you guys thinking in the past years with preseason when we say maybe this game doesn't really matter, but somebody goes out there and just balls out? Does
We
anybody
weren't
come to
actually
mind?
talking about that before the show.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind, which is pretty recent, is little Jordan Humphrey, who had like a
Yeah.
huge game. I don't know if he made the initial roster, but he stuck around for a little bit and kind of bounced back and forth from the roster and the practice squad. So I remember him. He caught a couple passes. He downed a punt like on the 1 yard line on a really good play for Gunner, and sort of made his case, if you will.
Did
So
There
you,
we
did you
go.
say Gunner? Because I was thinking Gunner Olszewski in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
final
yeah,
preseason
yeah.
game, playing some cornerback, making some plays. Like those are the kind of things that could be fun. Yeah.
All right.
So, and Mike is right, and this is one of those games, and I say this every year, and I really mean it. It is kind of a finality to a lot of these guys, and the vast majority of the guys that play tonight will never play again. And I don't say that lightly. These guys have been football players. That's what they've been for, say, 10, 12 years. They've been a football player every day, and the finality of that is not something I just flippantly, make my typical Paul snarky comments about. I totally respect it. And these guys will be out there flying around tonight trying to put some tape together and whatnot, and it won't be easy. But there is one area, and that's why my key to the game is sort of putting your best foot forward, and it's a little bit of a play on words with the kicking situation, because if there's one thing tonight that will kind of matter, I still think it's a competition. It's ongoing. I think both guys, Parker Romo and Andy Borregales, have been pretty good throughout camp. I think Borregales Romo may have taken a step ahead last week. You contrast the two preseason games. I always say to you guys, the results and the actions in the preseason games are so far less important than what happens at practice, and I believe that. But when one guy goes out in a preseason game and makes a 57-yarder, and the other guy really didn't kick well at all on his 57-yard attempt, I think that does matter. It's like the Phil Perry line from the opener. It doesn't count, but it does matter.
it's a good line.
So I'm continuing. I'm going to watch the kicking game tonight, and hopefully the Patriots will score some points and give both guys more opportunities. I think Vrabel has been alternating them a lot. let the competition continue, and let's see who wins the kicking job tonight.
And you mentioned practice being a big part of that. Both went 5 of 5 in practice, but the actual game has been different, of course.
Yeah,
We
they've
talked
both
about
been
that big
really, really
57.
good all summer.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
they're not making the decision easy on the
I
coaching
think there was
staff.
like one day last week where there were multiple kicks missed by
Oh,
both guys, and then
the
otherwise,
panic out of my people was just
Like to
palpable.
dramatize it.
They were in a panic about it. But the operation, I thought, on Borgales's miss last week in Minnesota might have been more of like the operation. It seemed like they were late on the field, maybe some indecisiveness of it. Was it a Romo kick or was it a Borgales kick? And then the snap looked a little bit high as well. So maybe not totally on the rookie kicker that he missed that one. But Paul, I believe, is right that Romo probably has been the better of the two, but I don't know if it's a wide enough gap to cut a 6th-round pick for Parker Romo. So we'll see.
Evan, you had effort and finish in parentheses.
Yes.
Strong.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So the number one non-negotiable for Mike Vrabel and this coaching staff is effort and finish. They have a board that's up in the team auditorium now that has their non-negotiables listed, and number one at the top above all the other ones is effort and finish. And I think if you're going to make this team, as some of the players that Deuce laid out, if you're going to make this team as the 53rd guy on the roster, you're going to play with absolute 110% full tilt effort and finish. So whether that be tackling, covering kicks, blocking for returners, blocking in the run game, finishing blocks in all senses of that, playing blocks hard and physicality and all that good stuff, I don't think you're going to make this roster as a back end of the roster player without doing those types of things. I don't think it's going to be something flashy. It's not going to be a one-handed catch that's going to make the team. It's going to be that kind of stuff. So finish strong, obviously, last preseason game here for a lot of these guys to audition, and I think that's the number one thing that they look for.
wasn't I think carrot cake was one of the other non-negotiables that was on there.
He
That
does
was
like carrot cake, which is kind of
I can't do
a little bit of a hot take for a birthday, right?
I think that it's a hot take.
That's
Yeah.
I
crazy.
can't do raisins in it. I don't want raisins.
Oh.
In it. Yeah, no raisins in my carrot cake. I'll do carrot cake
I
otherwise.
can't do carrot
Yeah.
cake ever again in my life. I threw up from it because my mom would put it in my lunchbox every day.
What? Every day?
In 4th grade, and I felt so bad telling her I didn't like it. Nurse sent me home one day throwing up everywhere. She's like, "Why didn't you just tell me?" I'm like, "I felt bad." So I can't even smell carrot cake now.
Wow. All right. Well,
Wow.
we won't let you
Who knew?
interview Mike
Tangent.
Vrabel then, I guess.
No birthdays.
Keep it away from me, Paul.
Tangents are welcome on this show.
Keep the carrot
It's a
cake
great
away.
job. It's a great anecdote. Nice job.
Evan, I do want to ask you, though, does one name really come to mind? Because we know everybody has to put in the effort. We all talked about a strong finish. And a lot of the positions are solidified. We talked about the interior maybe not being one of them, some wide receiver positions. But does one name overall come to mind for you that needs to finish strong?
Yeah, we've talked about him a couple of times tonight, but Jordan Polk, I really feel like he's the one guy that has really exemplified that. He covered a kick last week, 81, 82-yard return, and he made the touchdown-saving play. And Mike Vrabel pointed it out unprompted and said, hey, if he doesn't make that touchdown, take that tackle down to avoid the touchdown, then we probably don't win this game because they score on the kickoff return, and that's the difference in the game. So I've noticed him, filling the run. He had a sack, had an interception, had a kickoff return tackle. So just these little things that if you're going to make the roster as a 6th defensive back or something like that, it might be Jordan Polk.
Yeah.
So I'll give you another one. More of a positional group is like that whole tight end situation. I think Westover is probably the guy based on all the fullback work that we've seen. But is there room for somebody else? We've talked about this roster is not very deep. So they're going to keep 5 receivers, 7 receivers, something in between. Maybe there's an extra spot for a Jaheim Bell or, I know Scott or one of these other guys.
Cole Fotheringham.
I was going to bring up Cole Fotheringham, Paul.
So,
But
I'm glad that you guys did because that was the name that was escaping me.
I knew. Right. This is
Fotheringham?
what we do for
I was this close to saying in 49. That's
Your
his
father.
number.
That's also a fullback number, to be fair.
So, but I do think there's a chance. I'm not telling you they're going to, but I think there's a chance that you might say, well, they look at Westover is a fullback. That's extension in the backfield. Like, is Jermichael Hasty on this team now? You know, I think there's a lot of different things that can happen that we don't really know how they're going to unfold yet.
Yeah, I wonder with a guy like Westover if he's really the guy or if he's just the guy who can play fullback on the roster right
Johnny
now.
Bravo.
And maybe that's
Fits the suit.
Right. Well, maybe that's a position that they address after cutdowns. Maybe there's a fullback somewhere who shakes loose, who's a real fullback. But the guy I want to highlight is Javon Baker, who missed 2 practices this week, and then reports were yesterday coming out of Mike Reese saying, you know, he's going to travel. Daniel LaRusso's going to fight because they had
Good, Mike. You're having a strong show.
I mean, they got 3 other receivers that are, you know, really healthy and probably going to dress tonight. John Giles, Paul's guy, had a pretty good, you know, couple of weeks here. Phil Lutz, who they just signed, Tufts, Delaware. I mean, powerhouses, of course, and Jeremiah Webb. So to me, this sounded like, Javon, you're on the bubble, buddy. If there's any way you can play, you might want to make that trip tomorrow. And that, to me, he's had a disappointing preseason to me. I mean, he's had some moments in the joint practices, but I think the overall numbers were like 7, 8 targets, 1 catch in the preseason games. Go back to Paul's point. I know that doesn't matter as much, but I just think he's been
those
so
numbers speak for themselves.
He's been so up and down, and at some point he has to either develop into a player that you think you can trust and that you can put out there and really feel like if we put the effort and energy into this player to develop him, that it's going to pay off down the road. And right now we just haven't seen it. So I look for him tonight he's probably going to play most of the game. He's going to get some targets. He's got to make some plays and remind people the talent that he has if he wants to find a spot, whether it's on the roster or on the practice squad.
Can we talk about the quarterbacks for a second? Because I was telling you guys it's half-baked take, but I'm going to bring it to the show.
Oh, it's been baked?
It's still half-baked.
All right.
But
Is it baked better than Claudia's carrot cake?
yes, absolutely.
That caused issues.
So Ben Woolridge
Visceral
in the games has kind of impressed me a little bit. I thought he would. Not so much against Minnesota, definitely more against Washington than Minnesota. But even against Minnesota, he made a couple throws that I was like, okay, all right, Ben Woolridge, I see what you're doing. Really smooth release, looks sort of the part in the pocket and looks poised and kind of settled down. And I give him a ton of credit because he doesn't have any reps in practice. And then he's coming into these games and he's playing all right in the games. I think if all things were equal, then this could have been a legitimate competition for backup quarterback, but Josh Dobbs has a role. He has a presence on this team as a veteran backup to Drake May. But just if you're going by the tape, like Woolridge has outplayed him in the preseason. So I'm interested to see Ben Woolridge tonight. Maybe if he has another really good game, they do start to think about keeping 3 quarterbacks because he has shown me a little bit of something.
That's another one of those, you know, the roster machinations that you have to try to play. And again, I don't think that they have a situation where, you know, it's like, well, do we keep Elijah Ponder or Truman Jones? You know, we can't
Paul.
let these guys go. I think it depends on where you want to try to factor in some depth. The receiver situation, I think Claudia talked about it before I came on about, you know, I think you mentioned Jalen Polk. Well, Kendrick Bourne hasn't been out there for a long time.
Right.
Baker is trying to battle through something. Chisholm didn't practice the last couple of days. What's going to be the health status of that wide receiver core heading into week 1? Does that necessitate you keeping some extra guys just to make sure you're ready? Because, you know, let's say they wanted to say, well, Kendrick Bourne's he's a veteran. We're going to keep him. We know he'll be ready for week 1. Well, then all of a sudden you're in the middle of the second quarter and you lose him. So you might need to have some extra bodies there. I'm just throwing them out there. I think the more likely scenario is a guy like Bourne opens on IR, and that's how you factor in some depth in case you get to October and maybe you're not liking the way some of these younger guys look.
Especially with Polk sounding
Kyle
like
Williams'
he's gone.
concussion.
He could-
Right.
Not concussion, head injury that we don't really know about. You know, is he going to be ready for the opener?
Yeah, with Jordan Polk now sounding like he's going to end up on IR, I like that. You know, that move to just stash Bourne, maybe have him as a backup, and we'll see in a few weeks, maybe.
I do want to touch on Phil Lutz quickly again because Tyler from Delaware said, Evan,
of course.
question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Have you checked out Lutz yet? Dude was a beast at Delaware.
Sure he
Hope he
was.
has a good game tonight. Want your take on him?
A little jitterbug, you know, typical Patriot. Paul's
Efton
favorite.
Chisholm.
Paul's favorite.
Oh, well, then he'll be great if he's Efton Chisholm.
The disrespect for Hefton Chisholm is crazy.
He's leading all receivers in preseason in catches right now.
Almost as many as Bam Childress had.
Stop it. They've had Phil Lutz here before. This is not Phil Lutz's first soiree with the
Sure.
Patriots. So we'll see if this one. I don't think this one's going to stick. It's pretty late in the process. But
Yeah.
Paul did bring up a guy that jumped on late that I do think could stick, and that's JaMychal Hasty. Like I've been pretty impressed with JaMychal Hasty. I just think he's pretty smart. Heady veteran, plays well in the kicking game as well. So if you're going to be a fourth running back, he could be a fourth running back. He can be a backup pass catching back, and he can cover kicks. Like that's not nothing. That is a role on most NFL teams.
I'm going to break a rule of lawyers. Never asking a question you don't know the answer to. But I'm not a lawyer, and we're not on trial. So I'm going to do it.
So you know the answer to this question?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if you guys know the answer, because I think Hasty did speak after one of the practices, I believe, that I wasn't at. But do we know why he was signed, when he was signed? Why
I thought it was
still
when
available?
Land Larison.
Larison went on IR,
No.
kind of.
Why was he available?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that
So
question.
what I'm trying to get at is, you sign him, you get him up to speed, you kind of like what you see. I think everything Evan said about the special teams is important to Mike Vrabel and that staff. Springer has some familiarity with him from last year on special teams. Do you cut him and put him on the practice squad and get
Some elevations.
Easy.
because he was available in August?
For sure.
So your chances of getting him to the practice squad are probably pretty high.
I like that move. I think that makes the most sense. To me, that's
But
easy.
I didn't know if you guys talked to him. No. He was dealing with an ankle injury. They knew he wasn't going to be ready.
I
sounded
hadn't
like
heard
he
anything
just-
I didn't know if
like
there was
that.
information I wasn't.
Sitting around waiting for the phone
Right.
call.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my guess is that you'd be able to get him on the practice
Yeah.
squad if that was the case.
Yeah, and that's how the practice squad with all these elevations and all these new rules and stuff that have been recently put in place. That a lot of these practice squad spots have been game day elevations because they have a role for you on special teams, but they want to protect a Javon Baker on the 53-man roster, and they don't want to put him on waivers. But
Right.
Hasty doesn't have to go on waivers, so he's protected. But there's just little things with Hasty, like they got blitzed the other day against Minnesota, and like he knows he's hot, and he turns around and he's open for Josh Dobbs. Like little just veteran things that you can see with him that might allow him to make the roster. Like you see that with him, and then every once in a while you see Travion Henderson, a rookie, who doesn't necessarily adjust the route as quickly as a guy like Hasty. So just some small things with Hasty. But sorry, I don't have more on Phil Lutz. But
You'll get all you need tonight, I'm
yeah.
sure.
Hopefully that's all that he wanted there.
yeah,
But as we discussed making this 53-man, we've talked a lot about players going to other teams. Some trade discussions that have come up, and I'm sure you guys talked about this during the week, but this email, Brandon in Maine says, please stop taking the calls on trades for McLaurin or Micah Parsons or Hendrickson. It's taboo. It should be taboo. He's basically saying, I'm tired of fans who think we can trade Duggar Strange Jennings, a third-round pick, and a bag of used jock straps for a disgruntled star.
But those are two different things.
maybe they want the jock strap.
Yeah, you're tired of trying to get these guys for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
But when Elliot Wolf openly talks about being open to a trade, and then there's a report a day or so later that the Patriots inquired about Trey Hendrickson, I think people that are writing in wondering about acquiring one of these guys, I think is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Can I
think
throw
it's
out
worthy.
my trade proposal that I came up with for
Please.
Catch 22 this week? Keon White, second-round pick, and take your pick of Duggar or Marcus Jones for Trey Hendrickson.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Real
but-
impact player, obviously one injury kind of screws the whole thing.
That was my
there, but-
trade proposal because the Bengals, their defense is in a bad way right
So
now.
bad.
They need
My God,
players
it's
all
terrible.
on all three levels of their defense.
There you go.
And
It's so
I don't
true.
think Anthony Jennings and Duggar gets it done. I don't think that's good enough. But Keon White, young ascending player still. From the Patriots, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Hendrickson, but
Yeah.
second, I might do it.
Well,
like that, yeah.
If I could do a short riff just on the edge position generally, because I would guess tonight you're not going to see Landry or Chase on. And really after that, I think there are huge questions about who's the next man up. Said it plenty of times. If Harold Landry goes down, I think he's the key piece to that defensive front right now. Like what we've seen out of Chase on, he's come on, bringing some pass rush juice. But we talked a little bit about Keon White, not quite finding a home yet. Anthony Jennings, not quite sure how he fits. Elijah Ponder, liked some of what he showed last week coming on a little bit. We talked about Elijah Ponder too.
Especially on special teams.
Truman Jones, last one I'll mention. Those two guys, Truman Jones with 5 QB pressures this preseason, but not a lot of obvious answers there after your top two guys. So I think that's a huge position of question. It's a huge position where depth is needed. And bringing somebody in like Hendrickson, especially if you didn't have to touch those top two guys, that really gives you an elite three-man rotation along the edge. So that's a spot I would look at, and I've said it before, going into next year, that you need to pad in some youth. You got to get some promise on that edge position and round it out a little bit. And I'd even consider signing Chason, keeping Chason around, depending on how it goes. But I think he's had a good camp, and he's shown that he's maybe growing into that pedigree that he had coming out.
Yeah, I thought Swinson had a couple good reps in the game against Minnesota for the first time. I kind of noticed
That's the same
him.
thing. By
I was hoping to notice him a little bit more earlier in training camp, but maybe the light's coming on for him now, and we'll start to see him. He's a little stiff, but he's got speed to power. He plays physically. Kind of got that for him. But the edge spot, you've been on it, Deuce. It's something that you feel pretty good about the camp that Chazon's had, about Chazon and Landry, but behind that, it's a little bit of a question mark. But it's never too early to look at the draft, Deuce.
No, a lot of good edges out there, too.
Top 50s
I
are
was getting a
stacked
little
with edge
excited.
guys, so you might get your guy in April. But this is, like I said, I was hoping to see Swinson flash sooner in camp and maybe a little bit more often than what I've seen. So maybe he's building something off of that Minnesota preseason game where he had a couple pressures and a run stuff. So maybe it's something to build on for him.
You mentioned Elijah Ponder. I know Mike Smith has talked really highly of him, saying he's one of the best undrafted free agent pickups, and that's the outside linebackers coach. For those who don't know, that's speaking very highly of a player. How much do you guys agree with that? I'm curious on Elijah Ponder.
Well, good thing Barth isn't here, but no, I don't. To be honest, I haven't seen a lot. I thought he looked, he popped a couple times early on, but he's with the rest of that group. Sometimes you see moments from them, and you see a little flash. I'd say the same thing about Truman Jones, who was here as a practice squad guy last year. I just think
I've been
it's
more impressed about Truman Jones.
Yeah,
honestly.
he's tough. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But that's a great question. I just think they're all kind of jumbled right now. And with Keon White not elevating, and we talked about this in the offseason, everyone's like, well, Deuce, don't forget about Keon White. I think even they thought Keon White would be, part of that rotation and a real part of the defensive end group, but he hasn't really seized it. He's been falling back. So I think they need to figure something out there. And I mean, if it is Ponder, great, but one of those guys has to emerge, because I could see one of them getting thrust in at some point.
Yeah, and I just don't know exactly. Still, it's an age-old thing that Mike and I have been talking about with Keon White for 2 years. Is I don't know exactly where he fits, and that was interesting to hear them. The coaches say just that, finding one spot, finding a home for him, and the way they talk about him. I think it was it Clint McMillan that we were talking to, Mike, that was saying, or was that Mike Smith?
Might have been Mike Smith.
Mike Smith. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to learn all these new guys too. With the new coaches, we got
I have to pull up their headshots.
We had a chance to talk to the defensive coaches on Tuesday or Monday, on one of the days this week, and he mentioned that his violence and physicality is apparent.
Yeah,
that's the way to me you talk about an interior guys. It's explosiveness and power. It's the speed to power that Evan talked about with some of the edge guys. So maybe they look at him as more of a fit on the inside, and we're just trying to remember this one, Claudia. We're trying to fit a square peg
into
a
a circle.
round.
Thank you, Deuce.
I
feel like we should do my version. I feel like my version's better. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, I would say on Keon White, though, we've been waiting for it, and he's had some moments in camp over the last couple of years where people get excited about him, and he just hasn't really developed as a pass rusher. He's really stiff, and it's such contrast to me when you watch Chason, who's a veteran now, has been on a couple teams, has some pass rush arsenal, and you see him bust out different stuff out. And Keon White, I feel like if he can't go through the guy, he's going to struggle. I like him when he's going right on a guard, but now you got Milton Williams and Christian Barmore to do that. So, and it's troubling to me when they say we got to find a home from him. I think I said that this week on PU, but when you were in a Belichick defense and it was always going to be something different, you never knew quite what it was going to be, then you held out a little more hope for someone who, like Keon White, who might not have a home. But now you're in a defense that seems pretty straightforward, where it's like, we're going to come after you with our front four. Sometimes we're going to sprinkle some other blitzes in, but for the most part, it's about our front four getting outfield and our linebackers cleaning it up. If he can't find a home when it's that straightforward, is he going to be able to find a home?
This was a question that I had going into all of this was Christian Barmore, Keon White, Milton Williams. Can all three of those guys play on the field at one time? And who's the outside guy out of all those three guys? And if they don't all have a home there, it's kind of hard for Keon White because you said, Deuce, Barmore and Milton Williams aren't coming off the field. So now he's a rotational pass rusher probably on the inside that is rotating in there, and that's not exactly what you had in mind. You were hoping that he was going to be a full-time player and a 3-down player, but he's a little bit stiff and a little, not as flexible to play on the outside, but he's a little too small to play on the inside on first and second down. So, how do you exactly split the atom there?
So, and certainly in passing situations is when you would want Keon White on the inside, and definitely Barmore and Williams are going to be out there. I could make an argument that Williams might not be out there on all downs, but now you're going to have, Kyrus Tonga.
Right.
Is going to be that other guy. It wouldn't be Keon White. It'd be a bigger guy, a run stuffer. So I think Evan's point is dead on. But we'll see. Sometimes these guys will find different ways.
Huh?
No, it looks like Ben Brown there is taking snaps with Woolridge. So was
Do you
curious
think you'll
if
see
Ben
Woolridge
Brown.
for 4 quarters?
Well, that's what I was
tonight?
trying to decipher, Paul, because I wasn't sure if we'd see Ben Brown. I would see him as still being in the mix as at center and left guard, and now he's snapping the ball to Woolridge. So that's a little bit.
So these
now
guys
they're
are
switching up. They're switching
They were
up
saying
now,
some
though,
of Cole
so.
Strange at center,
And
too,
I think
right?
Cole Strange will probably
is
play the
there
majority
in that
of
shot right there. With Woolridge.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Cole Strange I think will play the majority of the center snaps tonight. I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like Drake is dressed, which I think makes
So they're
sense.
not even dressing those guys?
Doesn't seem like it because he would be out there with
See,
this
now that
group.
would be a departure from the Patriots tradition. They usually
Everybody
dress.
always
They
dress.
usually dress
Well,
everybody.
you know what I was going to say when we were talking about just sort of defensive schemes? That's the exact thing that came to mind. Think about how different this team is overall from last year. We're talking about an identity that these guys have to try and fit right now. Were we really talking about that last year?
Well, if we were, I don't think we knew what we were going to be missing because look, there's been some good moments in camp. There's been some down moments. There's been a lot of roller coaster, I would say, and that's okay. That's how camp can go. But I do feel like this team knows how they want to play and knows kind of what they want to be. And I don't think I ever got that sense with that team last year that they really established
The only
that.
thing I want to say, we don't have to make this about last year's disappointing season, but I will give them a little bit of leeway. They suffered some significant injuries to key guys on defense.
Yeah.
Whether it be, Bentley in the middle, Peppers' situation off the field, Duggar's ankle. They lost a lot of guys.
Christian Barmore.
I didn't even mention the
Barmore.
most important one in Barmore. That was the backbone of your defense, and we never really got to see that.
Sure.
Yeah. And
You
not
know?
just your best players too. A lot of your tone setters
Captains.
and your leadership.
Yeah.
It was the captain jinx last
And it
year.
was
Every
supposed to
captain
be,
got hurt.
supposed to be a holdover with the scheme and everything, and so they were supposed to just kind of have that beat go on, and they never really got that chance.
Now, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
defend, the defense was not good last year, and I'm not trying to say, well, it was better than you think. No, it wasn't. It was terrible. But they also had a lot of very important injuries, and I don't think you ever really, to Mike, to your point, I don't think you got to see an identity because the guys that you identified with the defense
Right.
never really played.
We're on the field.
You kind of felt it week one. You're like, oh, they're in shape. They had a hard
They certainly
practice.
played well in week
they
one.
seemed like they were building towards something, but yeah.
Now, in retrospect, I think that was probably a little bit more about the opposition than it was about you. You go 4-13, and the Bengals certainly weren't ready to play in week one, and they played better as the season went on.
Well, whoever they have out there, they'll be playing with confidence, right, guys?
There you
Here
go.
we go. It's important to have when you're on the road with Bridgestone tires on your car, truck, SUV, minivan. You're riding on tires you can trust. Bridgestone tires are engineered to give you peace of mind so you can focus on enjoying the journey. So whether you're on your morning commute, a crossroad country trip, or relaxing Sunday drive, Bridgestone tires will be with you wherever life's road may lead. Bridgestone, solutions for your journey, available now at Sullivan Tire. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
Without good blocking,
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-In and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Join the show by calling in at 855-500 or email at podcast@patriots.com. Now, back to the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Dunkin'.
Fueled by Dunkin'. And here's a question for the crowd. If your team runs on their fans, what do the fans run on? When you kick off your day with Dunkin', we're with you all the way to the end zone. Make a run to Dunkin', official coffee run of the Patriots. We have some really good emails here, but I know Patty and Nate have been waiting. So Patty and Agawam, what's going on?
Uh-oh.
Patty?
Patty, don't
like
do
Patty.
us like
That's
that.
not like Patty.
Patty?
Patty,
Hear me?
There he is.
Hey!
What's up, everyone?
I just figured you were drunk like usual.
Well, I was going to say, I run on beer, not
Exactly.
The Bud Light read's coming up soon, Patty. Don't worry.
Easy
That's
to
later
drink,
in the show.
Easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
So I had a question, but usually, in second and third preseason game, I usually throw out my Super Bowl prediction. Evan, I knew I threw one out at Catch 22, but I got to revise it. I am picking the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl against the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh.
I was on the Rams bandwagon, Paulie, but the whole Stafford with his back.
Oh, yeah, that's a major. That's a legit concern.
Patty, what did you see from the Vikings, though?
That's a great question.
That made you think that the Vikings would get there?
That's a bold prediction with the Vikings.
I saw J.J. McCarthy, and I
think they got a really good, almost complete
That makes
team.
me feel
the big
good.
question, the big variable is the quarterback. I think J.J. McCarthy will do good in a McConnell offense. That's my official prediction, and I think the Ravens are going to win. I think if they don't do it this year, they're never going to do it because they got the squad this year.
Well, it's the first year with JJ, though. Doesn't he have a few years to get it together? No? Justin Jefferson's young.
True, but I think...
He was switching to the Ravens there.
Oh, gotcha.
Now we're never Lamar.
I do like the Ravens pick. I mean, obviously, every year they're a Super Bowl favorite, but I like the pick of the Vikings.
Thanks, Patty.
I agree with Evan. I don't think the Vikings are going to be Super Bowl caliber, but I like the outside the box pick.
NFC is kind of wide
The
open.
NFC is, but they're very top heavy.
They are very top heavy.
Philly, Detroit, Minnesota, I would say, is in there.
There's like 5 teams
Green
with
Bay's
double
pretty
digit
good.
wins.
I don't know if they're that. I don't know if they're at that level.
How can you get
the
off
camp
Philly?
in Green Bay has not been going well, according to my
A lot
boots on
of
the ground.
injuries too.
You got boots on the ground?
In Green Bay?
Wow.
Yeah,
Just
you
a
know,
few.
your starting
Wisconsin.
quarterback misses like 5 or 6 days of practice.
Sort of love. Yeah, it's been an
We
experience.
had a good
for
time in
him.
Green Bay last year. Detroit interests me for obvious reasons because my guy is no longer there, Ben Johnson. So I'm
You lose
fascinated.
two
Or Terrell
coordinators.
Williams.
Or Aaron Glenn, or of course,
Everyone.
of course, Terrell Williams. I do wonder how that looks. You know, I don't think it's necessarily going
It's
to
a
go
legit
great.
concern.
Like I'm not a big Dan Campbell guy, and I think he just lost his 2 masterminds. You know, that are running the X's
Yep.
and O's, and I wonder how that's going to go.
And I would also say, and I'm really going to pump Evan's tires too. San Francisco will be back.
Yeah.
You know,
You know
there's
it.
no way they're going to have all
Their
the
injuries
injuries.
at wide receiver.
The
are
injuries
tough.
they had last year, you know, it's hard to imagine that happening 2 years in a row. They have a pretty favorable schedule.
Have you seen
They're
their
already
wide receiver
hurt.
room?
They're
Their
already
injuries
I know
are
they're so
decimated.
bad that they have to trade for Sky Moore.
Hey, Kyle's gonna figure out Sky Moore.
Oh yeah, see, this is what happens. This is what happens when I pump his tires.
Obviously, like Andy Reid couldn't because he's not good enough.
Tell you
but
what I do
Kyle's
like
gonna
out of
figure it
Detroit, though. I agree with your being concerned about
Yes.
losing the 2 lieutenants. Dan Campbell's using it. The one thing that is effective at
He's
is
motivating.
motivation, and he's using it as motivation. They don't think you can win without those guys. That's been their battle
The
cry.
only thing he's effective at is
when
motivation.
correct, and that matters.
Bite their kneecaps.
Yeah.
Right, right. So it's a talented team that won 15 games. They're going to be out to show you that it wasn't a fluke that they won that.
And they
many.
get Aiden Hutchinson back, which is obviously huge for that defense. And yeah, you lose your OC, you lose your DC, but they
Mike,
still
any
have so much
NFL at
talent.
large thoughts?
No, sorry. I was actually paying attention to the Patriots game here.
Oh, right.
Right.
I'll watch Red Zone for you, and I'll let you know what's going on around the league.
I did just want to say I noticed you're seeing Jared Wilson right there.
Yep.
Wasn't sure if he was going to play. Alex Austin is one of the guys that's dressed. Really, he's emerged as that really third corner, I would say. I think he would have a job, so I'm not sure how much he's going to play tonight. And last one I was just going to say is Jack Westover, who's been missing some time, and he's out there too. So I take that as a sign that's he's still in the mix and trying to compete for a job here. But otherwise, I haven't caught anybody else that's stood out as guys that I thought would be playing that haven't.
Yeah,
There's
so
Keon White
I
over
guess
there.
Mike Vrabel told Zoe on the pregame that a lot of guys are not going to play tonight, but I think the other point is it's like someone has to play.
Right.
So you can't sit everybody. So you do see some of the guys like Jared Wilson that might be a little bit more of a surprise. I thought I saw an 81 Austin Hooper maybe in pads as well.
Hooper drives the boat.
Jeez,
which
that'd
is
be
a little
surprising.
I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere,
Yeah.
but just as like a guy that maybe
they need him.
is out there, but. Not a ton of guys like
and
that.
they would seem like they have decent depth at tight end too. With Bell and Scott.
Maybe I missed.
Du-
I don't
Du-
know. I'm trying to see.
Dupre. How do you say
Dupree. Like CJ Dupree.
Who I was hoping I'd see a little bit more out of CJ Dupree. He's one of my guys in this UDFA class, and it hasn't really popped for him yet. A really good inline blocker, but if you're grinding the fourth quarter of preseason games to check out CJ Dupree's inline blocking, then you, me, and maybe one other person are doing that. But yeah, how about your boy John Giles though, Paulie?
Yeah.
Just because I think he looks good in a uniform doesn't mean I necessarily think he's going to make the club.
I understand, but I think that he's had some moments, like legitimately. I'm
for
not
sure.
teasing you.
I do, and the reason why I talked about him a little bit is because of what you always say, Evan, about Javon Baker. He's a little bit different in the skill set than the other guys. And I think he's a little bit more of an outside guy, taller, angular kind of build. I think he's had moments. I was a little disappointed last week. I saw, again, I didn't still haven't seen the game, but I saw his numbers, and he had 2 catches for basically no yards.
Yeah, but the targets were the balls were bad.
One was a screen too, right?
Yeah, and they were all not great throws, and he caught them. Like he made some adjustments and had some nice hands catches to catch them, and yeah, he definitely. I don't know if he's quite as athletic or explosive as Javon Baker, but he's in that category. I think this is the most surprising one, Deuce. When you talk about guys that are dressed that surprise you, I think
Truman
Keon
Jones.
Well, Harvard.
Oh,
shout out.
Keon White.
Keon White being dressed and potentially playing in this game after he was, I think we can call it demotion to the second team over the last
Didn't
week
get a
or
lot
so.
of reps.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot of reps with the ones.
Through the spring and even early in camp was a fixture on that defensive line and early downs. And, as things have progressed, here he is playing today. He didn't look, he never really looks too happy about anything, but he didn't look too happy on the practice field the other day. But it was obvious you had, on the practice on Tuesday, you had clearly the guys who probably weren't going to play on the right field, and then you had the guys on the left field who probably were going to play, and you could see Kieran White was over there, and I think that really continued to turn heads. Heads were already turning that he wasn't playing as much with the top guys, so we'll see what he's got tonight.
All right. Nate's been waiting a while. So, Nate, we'll get to you out there in Connecticut. What's going on?
Hey, guys. Can you guys hear me well?
Hey,
yeah, we got you.
What's up, Nate?
Not much. So I got a couple thoughts on two players. First off is Jalen Polk. I think we're either going to cut him or he's going to get traded. He just hasn't been – he hasn't done anything really. He's out with this season with the shoulder injury, and, he didn't really do much last season either. And he's taking up room on the roster. I just don't see him succeeding here. I think we're probably going to cut him or trade him. I wish him luck in a different team, but I just don't think New England's right for him. Just like Elliot Wolf said, we didn't put him in the best place last year. But yeah, and then my second player is Ben Brown. I think we're going to probably hang on to him. I want to see how he plays tonight. But when he was a center for Drake May, he definitely wasn't that good, but he was serviceable.
Definitely.
He had some plays here and there, but he also gave up some plays. But with the offensive line, Morgan Moses being on the older side and Cole Strange and the Ben Brown and the whole center thing, it could go sideways. And so I feel like Ben Brown's a serviceable player to have on board. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah, I do wonder if Jared Wilson being suited up and looking like he's going to play in this game, to maybe get a look at him and Ben Brown next to each other in a game. I don't know which one's going to play center, probably Ben Brown, but if I had to guess, I think we might be trending in that direction of the line being Campbell, Ben Brown, or Wilson or Ben Brown, Onwenu and Moses, and no Bradbury. I think if you're just basing it off of who's played the best in practice, I think that Bradbury is the odd man out there, but I don't know if they're ready to pull the plug yet on Bradbury. But I'm just saying that's how I've seen it with those guys. So I wonder if they're both going to play in this game to get a nice look at what would it look like if we have Wilson and Ben Brown next to each other at center and left guard.
Yeah, interesting that Bradbury doesn't look like he's dressed. So he's probably been the one that I think has had some struggles too. But
right.
It's interesting. I just say on Jalen Polk, I think you put him to IR, say see you next year. He might have a little bit better chance at a roster spot next year, but it's going to be fight or flight. Or
so if that report is accurate too, though, that he's having surgery,
you can't trade him.
He's out for the year.
You're just going to get him
right. No one's going to want to pick him up.
They might be able to reach an injury settlement with him of some sort and cut him that way. That happens from time to time. You can save a little money, but I don't think he's going to
put him on IR.
I don't think he's going to play this year. My guess is he won't be. I don't think you'll see him back.
Yeah,
I think if he lasts the season on IR here, my guess is that they'll probably cut ties with him at some point in the offseason.
Such a fascinating player to me in my time of covering the team up close, working here and watching practices, and I've never seen anything quite like it, where he's catching a lot of passes in the summer, and then a couple mistakes, things snowball on him, and then he gets hurt, and then he comes back. He's fighting through it all year. He comes back, and first game back, blows his shoulder out again. Just tough break for the kid, and you see how an NFL career can just get derailed so easily.
Yeah.
A couple injuries, couple blown opportunities, and all of a sudden, you're looking at next year, you're going to be fighting for a potential roster spot.
It's a tough one for this front office. It's a tough one for this front office and Elliot Wolf, because they were kind of on an island thinking that Polk over Ladd McConkey, and they picked their guy in Jalen Polk, and Ladd McConkey looks like a star. And I hate playing that game. It's so easy to do it, and I hate doing it.
I love playing it, but I understand.
But
what your point is.
it's not just Ladd McConkey either. Like, they could have had Adonai Mitchell. They could have had Troy Franklin, who looks like he's going to start in Denver.
Could have had his teammate.
They could have had his teammate who,
Jalen McMillan.
Yeah, he's got the neck thing now, but he's had a better start to his career as well than Jalen Polk. So whatever they used to do to evaluate receivers, I hope that Mike Vrabel and Ryan Cowden have a different plan, because it's just the same beat. It's the same. It's a different chapter of the same book at that
Vrabel,
position.
it's more A.J. Browns and less Traylon Burks.
Yeah. It's just the same thing
Kyle
over and over
Williams
again. And Javon Baker's kind of headed in the same direction too. And not that he's a complete, washout yet for the season like Jalen Polk is, but we're seeing that headed in that direction as well. So hopefully Kyle Williams goes in a different path, because it's tough to look back on.
I was going to say Kyle Williams, one guy we'll certainly be looking out for. Who's been waiting here? Anthony in Long Island. Anthony?
Hey, guys. What's going on? I just had one question, and it pertains to Gonzo. I feel like how worried are you guys of his availability for week 1? Because I feel like every week we hear he's not practicing this week, and then that's the only thing we hear, and I'm a little concerned. Like, we obviously really need him. We got a little depth, but I don't know. I'm just pretty worried. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are, if you have any information that I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I am 0.0% worried.
I have no information, but I feel like he's going to be playing in week 1. Now, Mike, you know me well enough. Can I possibly say I don't have any concern about anything? I'm concerned about everything all the time.
Right.
I don't know how you could be concerned about that.
I'm not concerned about his availability.
Cautiously optimistic? Should we say that?
I'm concerned about like the hamstring. It's a hamstring injury, and sometimes those linger. And I think he's an exceptional athlete. So he's a guy who plays with exceptional athleticism and relies on it. And if he's not quite right, does he pull the hamstring again and suffer a setback? So small C concerned, but I agree with Evan. I think 100%. I'll just say 99.9, just to give me a slight out, that he's be ready week 1. I think Mike has done a good job of the reason I think that he says that on Monday is to do exactly what it's done. No one talks about Christian Gonzalez the rest of the week, because he tells you at the beginning of the week, you're not going to see him this week.
Yeah.
So why you're not going to ask him on Tuesday, what about Christian Gonzalez? I told you yesterday, we're not going to see him this week.
Right.
Yeah.
And you end up getting yelled at like Ben Volen.
We have a couple practices on Sunday and Monday before cut down day. I think they're going to go behind closed doors after that point.
Wouldn't be surprised.
So I would expect the first practice that the media is not allowed to watch, that when we take attendance at the beginning of practice before we kicked out, I will cross Zero's name off, and then we will see him week 1 against the Raiders. But
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I agree with you that in terms of the longevity thing, but I have no concern that he's going to physically be ready for week 1.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And knock on all the wood. I see your calls. I see your emails. We thank you for calling in to the Patriots pregame show, which, by the way, is sponsored by the Massachusetts 250 campaign, commemorating a history of possibility. Play at your revolutionary weekend at massachusetts250.org. Let's head over to California with Daniel.
California.
Danny, California.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Hey.
Gotcha.
So, I kind of had a Christian Gonzalez question, but I'm not going to make you guys go back to that because the caller before me already got to it. But one other question I had was, I know there's not much to watch tonight, but looking forward.
No, Daniel. We're excited about tonight.
I feel you, Daniel.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we are. My bad. But Vrabel's already made like a huge impact. What's your guys' opinion though on Stretch? I know he's been getting like tons of praise for like Vrabel's success in Tennessee, like game management. But I already know he has like so much influence on the franchise. So what's your guys' opinion on that?
Thanks, Daniel.
He's like 64%.
Don't start.
That was very Paul-like, Mike. Double thumbs up.
I just say I like Stretch's energy. We've interacted with him a tiny bit, and he just seems like a good dude. I hear all these stories about everything that he is or isn't doing behind the scenes, so I don't know exactly, but he's always out there floating around, and he's been good to us so far. So I know it's a good relationship, good bromance between Vrabel and Stretch.
Sure
it's like
is.
they're attached at the hip.
Explain for those who don't know who Stretch is.
So Stretch is Mike Vrabel's right-hand man, John
His
Stryker.
consigliere.
He was, they crossed paths first at Ohio State, and Stretch last year was with the Rams. And as soon as Mike Vrabel was hired, I don't even remember the first time I heard it, but everyone was just like, of course Stretch will be coming with him. So that was my first introduction to Stretch, and so far it sounds like he, has Mike Vrabel's trust, and he's actually taller than Mike Vrabel, which I think
Makes
Vrabel
it
likes
easy to
too.
spot
Makes it easy. These two twin towers walking towards you, but like I said, he's got good energy. I mean, we walked out of the radio show on time, and he gave, give me a what's up. So it's nice. It's nice. He seems like a nice guy. I mean, we'll see what he does exactly. I know there's all those stories out there about him.
Yeah, I think to best sum up what my understanding, I guess at least, of what he does is like he's a combination of Bear Najarian and Ernie Adams in one person. So he does a lot of the football administrative things, but he also does a lot of the clock management, some of the advanced scouting things that Ernie used to do. So it's like a combination of those two people in one brain, which is pretty impressive given how much those guys gave to the organization when Bill was here. So he does a ton of things, like laundry list of things that he has his hands in, and
his laundry.
Also running Mike Vrabel's life, like pretty much, so he's an important figure in all of this. And I think on the sideline, once the regular season comes around, you're going to see him helping Vrabel with a lot of the clock management stuff and the decision making, go for it, not go for it, that type of stuff, call timeouts, how to manage clock late in games and end halves. So he's an important figure in all of this. Absolutely. Everybody you talk to, I think he was on the first flight from LA to Boston as soon as Mike Vrabel signed, pen to paper on the contract to be the head coach of the Patriots. It was within hours that I feel like we heard that Stretch was on his way already. So he's definitely an important person to Vrabel.
Any thoughts on Stretch, Paul?
I don't know him as much as these guys do because I've never gotten a chance to meet him. But yeah, I mean, I would say that it's important to have a guy that you trust that much in your inner circle, and certainly that's the relationship that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like these last 2 weeks we've gotten all the secret behind Mike Vrabel. Like it felt like a decade to find out like Ernie Adams was this figure behind the scenes helping Bill Belichick out, but we haven't even played a game with Vrabel, and everybody already knows the Stretch is like the guy.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like we can trust him. You know what else you can trust, guys? Brunt, based right here in New England. Workwear makes work boots and apparel that are built for the job site. Gear is comfortable, durable, just like Fred, the transition. Named after real workers in the trades that help design it. You can even try Brunt out on the job, and if it doesn't blow you away, they'll send it back. Save $10 on your first order at bruntworkwear.com/Pats or with coupon code PATS. Can you guys believe we only have a few minutes left? This show absolutely flew by. We'll take one more call. Todd, what's going on? In Jacksonville.
Hey, everyone, how you doing?
Hey, Todd.
Hey, so Paul talked about it before, and I don't know if we touched on the show about the depth being razor thin with this team. Do you see the possibility of cuts coming and improving that depth? Because right now, with this depth and the lack of it, and the struggles we've seen, the possibility of of this team winning 10 to 11 games, I don't see it being more like 6 or 7. How can they improve the depth on this team, and where can they do that? What positions? Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
It's a process.
I don't think that their win totals is going to be determined by the depth on the team. It's going to be determined by the quarterback. Like, if they're going to exceed expectations, it's going to be because of Drake May. I don't think it's going to be because of the
I would largely agree with that.
Running back, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think they have enough depth, but if the quarterback isn't great, then it's going to be hard to win. Again, this is like an expectation issue. If you think they're going to win 11 games,
you're going to be let
then
down.
It's it's going to be hard to get there. Unless you get that meteoric rise from your second-year quarterback, which is not out of the realm of possibility. He has the ability, and we've seen it in flashes in camp. Yeah. We've seen the improvement with our own eyes at times. We just haven't seen it consistently.
Quick point. Mike Vrabel's got a long history in Tennessee. There's probably a number of players, none of whom I know off the top of my head right now, that might come loose on Tuesday that he has experience with. Yeah. That when those guys come out, that those guys are the kind of guys.
I just don't think that that's something that you want to rely on. I mean, I'm not gonna. I think Mike is nailing it. I think Mike is absolutely right. They're gonna probably add a guy or two. Bill did it every year and he won 6 Super Bowls. So it's not like you add guys and that's a sign of a loser.
Right.
No, they'll add guys, but it's not going to be like, oh, I was really feeling bad about my guard situation. They got a guy off waivers. You know, remember all the linemen they got off waivers last year? Any of those guys make you feel better?
Right.
Unless they pull off a trade. Like
a trade is different.
And we haven't really talked too much about the players that the Patriots could trade. And Anthony Jennings is not in uniform tonight, but he's dealing with an injury. He didn't really practice.
He didn't practice, right.
So maybe that's why it's related to. But you could you trade like Kendrick Bourne, for instance, for a guard? You know, like a player for player trade that you don't really see a ton in football, but maybe that's if you're trying to upgrade the depth. I don't know if waiver claims is really going to do it for you.
Does someone have a guard that maybe doesn't factor into their plans because they're strong at that spot? Yeah, that's a great point.
If they have the depth, we'll take some from them. Yeah. Well, we can talk about all the trade scenarios because guess what, guys? We have 2 hours post game to break down the game and then everything that's going to come with it. The show was easy, wasn't it?
Always.
Just like a Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots, and that is all the reads, baby.
Just seamless.
Kickoff at 8. We've got Patriots, we've got Giants. Both teams undefeated in the preseason. We'll see what happens with the third and final game. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you after.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.